Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and in today's video I'm gonna be telling you which brushes I use to draw my comic. So to be honest with you, I'm not even using a lot of brushes, and I've actually been asked about brushes a lot, and recently a friend asked me to tell if the secret is in brushes for drawing, and no, and actually I understand how it can come across this way. Actually, when I was just learning to draw hair, I was sure that there is a brush for hair. I was like, there is no way people actually drawing hair by hand. It's impossible. That's crazy. There's definitely a brush, and I was asking everybody's around, what is this brush? And everybody was like, There is no secret in brushes, and actually at this point I'm using for my drawing just two brushes. I'm using 4 brushes in total, but I'm using just 2 for drawing. I'm gonna show you how exactly am I doing it and what are those brushes are. But brush is a tool, and a tool has a purpose. And the question is, what is your purpose? The point of brushes is to make your art look exactly as you want with the greater efficiency. So for example, if you want to stylize drawing, you might want to choose some stylized brush that's gonna mimic, you know, for example, some other art tools like pencil or oil paints or something like this. Or if you want your style to be super photoreal, which I did really like myself and I was trying to achieve, this is where you might want to use a couple brushes that might help you achieve exactly the look that you would find in realistic imagery. For example, super smooth for like skin, super sharp for like something like hair or gold or metals. Brushes are just tools, and the choice of the brushes depends on what are you doing with them. At this point, I kind of have this art style that I'm using the most. I always was the most attracted to photoreal type of art, to make stuff look as real as possible. But since I started to draw comic, I had to readjust my style a little bit, just because it's counterproductive to draw your comic in photoreal style. You'll never finish it. So my style is a little stylized, and those 2 brushes that I'm using are their purposes to fulfilling the speed and the stylized look that I'm going for. So I'm gonna share those brushes with you. First of all, as I mentioned, I'm using total of 4 brushes, but just 2 for painting, but that just get the 2 brushes out of the way. So I'm using the brush that is a simple brush that has no pressure settings or anything. It's just a straight line that's always gonna stay the same. I use no spacing on this brush. It's just a smooth, even stroke that I'm using for my dividing lines in the comic. Every time you see my panels being divided, this is the brush I use. That's clear and simple. This is what I'm using this brush for. Another brush that I'm using is the same brush basically, but just with a setting of pressure. The less I press on my stylus, the less diameter of a pen I will get. This is the brush I use to draw my bubbles. So I draw outline with my bubbles with this brush, and I'm using the first brush that I mentioned to fill those bubbles in with white. That's 2 organizational brushes out of the way, and now to the painting brushes that I'm using. So there are just 2. First is, I call it a soft brush, but basically the most basic brush in Photoshop. The only modifications that I'm making for it, I'm putting softness to the max, and I'm reducing spacing completely, and I'm making sure the amount of ink distributed is controlled by the pressure of my stylus. Meaning, the more I press, the more ink color or whatever I get, and the less I press, the more transparent it is. So that's basically it, and this is one of my favorite brushes actually. Before it was just my only brush that I was using, until I realized that there's some shortcomings for whatever I'm trying to do coming from this brush. What I'm using this for, I'm using this brush to outline colors on the page that I have. I fill my color in just like this behind the lines. I also use this brush to sketch out my environments if I'm drawing backgrounds, or if I'm sketching out just standalone drawing, for example like cover. I'm using this brush to create this nice blend of colors of whatever is present on the page. For example, can be taking 2 colors, and as those brush strokes combine and mix, I start creating these blending colors, and it helps me to blend all my colors on my page together. I also use this brush when I'm drawing something soft. For example, sometimes I draw skin on it if I want to make skin look extra smooth. This, for example, I do when I have my character emoting a lot, and this character is a young character, so when you emote you have like lines on your face, and if I want to avoid them looking a little elderly, I go a little extra on softening their skin. So just using this soft brush to make the skin look a little perfect. Use this brush to create glows, haze, drawing something that is soft, something like smoke, clouds, sky I draw exclusively with this brush. I use this brush to draw highlights, sometimes on metal, and I use it sometimes for magical effects. That's about it. This is about it, what I use this brush for, mostly for a lot of purposes. So I really love this brush, and it's a very powerful brush, very simple and very powerful. Another brush that I'm using is actually, I don't know how to describe this brush exactly. I grabbed this brush from one of the older versions of the Photoshop. It's just a textured square brush. I don't think this brush existed the newest Photoshop. What I just do, I just grab those brushes and I transfer them, just those two brushes with my perfect settings as I like them. Basically just a textured brush that is square. If you look at the print of this brush, it's square, so it means I'm able to create sharp, very distinct edges with this brush, as well as create a little bit of texture. The texture is nice because it creates a little bit of breakouts of information when you're painting. So for example, if you're painting some surface, having brush with texture helps you to make your drawing look a little more interesting, a little more complex. It kind of feels like it has something in there than just color, just smooth color going. So this is the brush I use for drawing everything, basically. I use this brush to draw lines for my comic, just using this brush with just black, and I'm using this brush to just draw the comic on top of the soft brush base that I created. And when I'm drawing hair with this brush, I just put it on 60% transparency. I'm gonna show you on my screen how the settings for this brush look. I make sure it's very responsive to transparency through the pressure on my stylus. But basically, yeah, it's just a textured brush with transparency, and that's it. That's all my brushes. And if I want to try different styles, obviously it makes sense for me to use different brushes, but I'm drawing a comic and it has to be consistent. It has to be as consistent as I possibly can do, considering that I'm evolving with my style and such. So it only makes sense for me to keep using the same tools to create the same look. If I discover more brushes that I find useful for my style and my purposes, I will share them with you. But as of now, those are the brushes that I use. This is my favorite brushes, just two. I mean 4, but basically 2. I hope this video is helpful, and I hope it frees you and you realize it's not about the brushes at all. It's about what you want to do with them. You can do whatever you want and you can use whatever brushes you want, but I don't think you need to use some elaborate brushes to draw. Drawing is not about the brush, it's about your eyes and how you know things look like, and your vision and your skill and practice. It's a very short video, but I hope it is helpful for you, and let me know what you think about it in the comment down below, and what brushes do you use, and if you have some brushes that you really like that you think I should try. So thank you so much guys for watching, and I hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're gonna have a good day tomorrow, and until my next video, and yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Thank you guys.